The day I knocked on my elderly neighbor's door, I thought I was simply returning a package that had been delivered to my porch by mistake. I never imagined that one quiet afternoon would completely change the way I looked at life, love, forgiveness, and the silent battles people carry every single day. What she revealed to me wasn't gossip, wasn't a shocking secret about celebrities, and wasn't something you'd ever expect from a retired doctor. It was a truth so powerful that I couldn't sleep for nights afterward, and even today, I still hear her words echoing in my heart. Before we continue, if you believe that kindness and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, share this story with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to Heart-Wearing Tales for more unforgettable stories that touch the soul. It was a bright spring morning, with golden sunlight spilling across the quiet neighborhood. Birds chirped from the flowering trees, children laughed in the distance as they rode their bicycles, and the scent of fresh-cut grass floated gently through the warm air. Everything looked peaceful, but behind one small brick house at the end of the street lived a woman whose life had been shaped by thousands of untold stories. Her name was Marisol Bennett, a retired gynecologist who had spent nearly 40 years delivering babies and comforting frightened mothers. She lived alone after losing her husband years earlier. Most people only knew her as the polite woman who watered her roses every morning and smiled warmly at everyone passing by. Few knew about the weight she carried inside. I had recently moved into the neighborhood after accepting a new job. My days were busy, and my evenings were usually spent unpacking boxes or trying to adjust to a new beginning after my own painful divorce. Loneliness had become an unwanted companion, and although the neighborhood was friendly, I rarely spoke to anyone beyond a quick wave. That changed the afternoon I returned her package. Marisol welcomed me inside with unexpected warmth. Her home smelled of cinnamon tea and old books. Family photographs lined the walls, each capturing smiling faces from different decades. There were babies wrapped in blankets, graduation pictures, wedding portraits, and handwritten thank you cards framed with remarkable care. Every corner of the room seemed to whisper memories. As we sat together by the window, sunlight painted gentle patterns across the wooden floor. We talked about ordinary things at first, the weather, gardening, and how difficult it was to make new friends later in life. Then my eyes wandered toward one particular frame that simply read, "Every life is a miracle." When I asked about it, Marisol became unusually quiet. She stared outside for a long moment before speaking, her eyes filled with both pride and sorrow. She explained that throughout her career she had welcomed thousands of babies into the world. She had witnessed overwhelming joy, heartbreaking loss, impossible decisions, and extraordinary courage. Every delivery reminded her that life was far more fragile than most people ever realized. Then she shared the words that would forever stay with me. She told me that after decades as a gynecologist, she had learned something unexpected. The greatest pain she witnessed was rarely physical. It came from people carrying guilt, fear, loneliness, shame, or the belief that they were completely alone. She had watched women blame themselves for miscarriages they couldn't prevent. She had comforted mothers who believed they had failed their children. She had seen fathers break down after pretending to be strong for everyone else. She had learned that almost every person walking through her office was fighting a battle invisible to the world. Her voice trembled as she admitted that despite helping thousands of families, she often went home wondering whether she had done enough. Sometimes all her medical knowledge couldn't heal the wounds hidden inside someone's heart. As the afternoon sunlight slowly drifted across the room, she shared one story that had stayed with her forever. Many years earlier, a frightened young woman had arrived at the hospital completely alone. She had no family beside her, no partner holding her hand, and no one waiting outside the delivery room. She was terrified of becoming a mother because she believed she had ruined her future forever. Marisol stayed beside her long after her shift had ended. She held her hand, encouraged her through every painful contraction, and reminded her that courage isn't the absence of fear but the decision to keep moving despite it. Hours later, a healthy baby girl entered the world. Before leaving the hospital, the young mother hugged Marisol with tears streaming down her face. She whispered that for the first time in months, someone had treated her like a human being instead of judging her mistakes. Years passed. One afternoon, Marisol received an unexpected letter. Inside was a graduation photograph. The frightened young mother had gone back to school, built a stable life, and raised her daughter with endless love. The little baby Marisol had helped deliver had graduated from medical school and was beginning her own journey caring for patients. The letter ended with a sentence Marisol said she would never forget. It simply read, "You believed in us before we believed in ourselves." As she finished telling me the story, I noticed tears quietly forming in her eyes. What amazed me most wasn't the medical miracle. It was the realization that one afternoon of compassion had echoed across decades, changing not just one life but generations. I left her house carrying far more than the memory of a conversation. Over the following weeks, I found myself becoming more patient with strangers, calling relatives I had neglected, forgiving people I had secretly resented, and offering simple acts of kindness whenever I could. A smile, a helping hand, a few encouraging words, none of them seemed small anymore. Several months later, Marisol became ill. The neighborhood came together in ways I had never imagined. Families she barely remembered visited with homemade meals. Adults introduced themselves as babies she had delivered decades earlier. Parents brought children who proudly called her their hero. Flowers filled every room of her little house until it looked like a garden blooming indoors. Watching those visitors arrive one after another, I finally understood what she had meant. A life devoted to compassion never truly ends. It continues quietly through every person whose heart has been touched. When Marisol peacefully passed away the following spring, the church overflowed with people whose lives had crossed hers in countless ways. Doctors, nurses, teachers, parents, grandparents, and young adults stood together sharing stories of hope she had planted years before. As I walked home beneath the warm afternoon sun, I realized that the greatest legacy anyone can leave isn't wealth, fame, or recognition. It's kindness. It's choosing to see someone's pain instead of judging it. It's believing in people before they believe in themselves. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like this video, share it with someone who may need encouragement today, and subscribe to Heart-Wearing Tales so we can continue sharing stories that remind us of the goodness still alive in this world. Special request, tell us in the comments, what is one act of kindness that changed your life forever? Your story may become the hope someone else desperately needs today. Because sometimes, the greatest miracles are not performed inside operating rooms. Sometimes, they happen quietly, in ordinary conversations, between ordinary people, and they continue changing lives long after the words have been spoken. That is the kind of miracle the world needs more of, and perhaps the kind of miracle each of us can become.